Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Exploring Avatar. And this one will be our first part as we live read through Avatar the High Ground Volume 3. And I know a lot of people are like, what happened to Volume 2? I got a lot of comments in the little teaser we put out, but we'll explain that in a second. First of all, Drew, as always, hello, and how are you doing tonight?
Doing great, Jerry. Had a good Thanksgiving and happy to rejoin you. Looks like the crowd is ready to rock and roll tonight. They're not messing
Oh,
around,
gee.
man. I think if we waited any longer, they'd start throwing fruits at us. But
Oh my
yeah, I'm
god.
excited to dive in.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be a fun one. Um because at the same time, we'll probably need as much of your guys' help in the live chat, as much of our own, because like I explained, we are gonna have to skip volume 2 because once again, these delays have gotten ridiculous. So, for the umpteenth time, we'll actually put up the updated chart by Drew that we debuted two streams ago or something, I believe. And because they chose to now, even for the comic shops, release volume 2 and 3 supposedly as of now on the same day, just the day before we will see it on the 15th. Some of us here in the United States, other people at this point will have already seen it if you're in a country that actually gets it released on the 14th, let alone, your midnight screenings the day before. So, we'll take advantage of Amazon's little, hiccup that they had where apparently what happened was anybody who had placed a early pre-order on the digital version, so basically the same retail date, but it was specifically the digital of volume 1, for some reason, even though they have delayed those digital release dates many times since, somehow in their system they still shot out something to those people that did pre-order, but they didn't give them volume 1. They ended up giving them volume 3. So I guess maybe they threw, were throwing everybody a bone. And the way we came about of being able to have it was actually one of you guys, a listener, a subscriber, reached out, and he basically offered to, give us the digital version of volume 3 so that we could cover it here on the channel. And so what we're doing is we're skipping 2. We'll come back to it later once, the movie's out and basically all that kind of cools down. We'll revisit it, but for now, because we still want to give at least a proper little prequel before every one of us goes to see Avatar 2, let's go through this third volume that leads us right into it, supposedly based on the complete description. uh so we'll see. I haven't read it completely
Hey,
myself.
and Jerry, we got to say he's actually in here right now. So thank you to CJ O'Neill. He's the one that actually sent those files over for us
Yes,
so we can have
yes,
this.
everybody. CJ O'Neill is the one who actually reached out, so thank you so much. That's the only reason we're even able to do this stream, even if it's a weird one skipping volume 2. But yeah, everybody, give a big thanks to CJ O'Neill for reaching out and giving us this copy of the digital version. But yeah, Drew, we'll kind of have to recap one really quick, volume 1, and then we'll kind of have to try to, along with the chat, like you guys help us too, we'll have to try to guess what maybe transpired in 2, as we show you guys the first page when we get there, just to try to piece together like where we're even at, find our footing. We're gonna be like Jake when he, first awakened in his avatar body for the first time. So we're gonna try to find our footing. But Drew, are you excited or nervous? What are you feeling right now?
I'm excited to dive into 3. I hate that we had to skip 2. I guess we didn't have to, but we made that decision. Hopefully there's not too much information that's happened, and we're not just completely lost when we dive in tonight, but we will revisit 2 at a later date. So I'm excited to jump into 3, mainly because I know that 3 ties right up until the start of the high ground, the way of water. So that's what I'm most excited about, kind of see where it leaves us off at. And then once we finish up reading Vol.3 of the high ground, I'll be super excited to go to the movie, man. I'm ready. It's coming up.
Exactly. And based on the cover here I have on the screen, I think out of the 3, this is probably going to be the most action-packed volume. So we're probably, we probably the first one was all set up mainly. The RDA had just arrived towards the end of volume 1. We actually did get the confirmation that this story started 13 years after the events of the first movie. So, if I'm correct, right? 13 years?
Yeah, I believe that's what it was.
Okay, so it's 13 years. And I believe from things we have read, Avatar 2 starts either 14 or 15. So it's a year or 2 after the events that at least transpired in Volume 1. I don't really think there's going to be too much of a time span that this story probably took place in. It seems kind of like fast paced. Like we got to the end of 1, and it seemed like 2 was just going to hit the ground running with Jake trying to see if his plan would work. His plan, as we found out in Volume 1, was to basically hit him in the high ground, like basically be up there with spacesuits, him and all the Na'vi, and basically try to what's the word that I'm basically missing right now? What's that word? Oh man. Ambush them. Ambush. Basically stage an ambush in space, and that was what was gonna happen. Like, that's the plan that they were gonna enact basically in 2. That's why the cover of 2, as I'll briefly show here, was, it looked like it was the battle in space, and that's what we missed, man. I really wanted to see that.
Yeah, I'm excited to revisit to see that battle. Something I saw in the chat, Christina Garcia is saying she's withholding actually believing that Banshee is named Bob until I see it on a page or on screen. I've felt the same way, Christina. In fact, I didn't believe it. I thought that was something Todd McFarlane just kind of said as a joke. But I did ask about that, and it's been confirmed by Joshua Izzo from Lightstorm that it is, in fact, Bob for Jake's Banshee. I believe the backstory coming from James Cameron was that Tom and Jake Sully had a dog named Bob when they were kids, and that's why he chose the name Bob. So take it for what it's worth.
Yeah, he mentions that, I guess, that those seeds were planted in the very first Avatar story comic story we got, which wasn't a full series or a full issue. It was part of a free comic book day, kind of where you go in, and it had a different sample of some different stories that Dark Horse was producing, and it was called Brothers. And it's basically just a few page story on how he tamed the Leonopteryx, or the Taruk, as you may know it. It was basically showing the events that we didn't get to see in the movie, because it kind of just, you see him about to jump on it, and then boom, next thing he's arriving to the Tree of Souls with the Taruk. So this little comic story in a few pages, he says that in there they mention it about, like you said, it was either a dog or a cat, one of those two, that they had named Bob. But I kind of looked that story over and I didn't find it. I could be missing
it. It's definitely not in there, because when you told me that, I looked like 4 times, dude. I read every panel multiple times. I think it was 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, you know what? It might have been in one of the drafts, like that they were gonna put it in, and maybe he just didn't know that it was maybe one of the panels or something that got cut along the way, and he just assumed it was still in there, one of those. But
Right.
we'll ask him, we'll get the clarification. One day we'll even have, him, one day, hopefully, Josh Izzo, in here himself, as part of an interview or something, and we'll bring up that question, man. You're like, what was it? Is it or is it not?
Yeah, and Josh is on Instagram, so if any of you guys ever have some questions like that, clarifications that you want, send him a message. He seems like a real nice guy, so
just
sure
don't
he
bug
will
him.
let you know what he can. Yeah, don't tell him I
Don't bug
sent you.
him. They said, oh, those guys from that podcast, they told me to come bug you, and then he's gonna be like, oh man, I was gonna be on it, but then they did. But then Drew had to open his mouth. But no, but yeah, pretty much. In terms of other recaps in Volume 1 that was important, we got the origins of Spider. Correct? We got the 100% confirmation on his mother, Paz Socorro, if I remember correctly, who it looks like she died in the final battle of the movie. Some say that the panel that we got showing her death, like the arrows going through the cockpit, that was very reminiscent of a shot in the movie that Sute actually shoots those arrows. So who knows if it was implied, that that's the one from the movie, or if they just kind of did a similar framing of it. But she did die during the final battle, and we basically concurred that it was heavily implied that the father is Quaritch. His name is officially Miles Socorro, like Miles Spider Socorro. So given that his name is Miles, his mother most likely named him after the biological father, which the only other Miles we know in the Avatar, story so far is, Colonel Miles Quaritch. So I'm assuming that that's his father.
Plus, we've seen some other things that indicate that. Shoot, footage from the new trailers. The fact that there was a panel that showed his mother with a guy with a, outline that looked just like Quaritch. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm quite confident in that as well. I think we've got that one nailed down.
Yep. So basically, other than that, not much. 13 years later, we saw them have their the family. Spider isn't officially part of the family in this, because he technically does have, the Volume 1 reveals he has a human basically family that adopted him. So he's not technically part of the Sully family, and especially as we saw in Volume 1, not in Neytiri's eyes whatsoever, at least right now. From what can go on from what we saw in Volume 1, no. Like everything's his fault. Stay away from our daughters, mainly Kiri, because it seems like they had a really good bond. She does consider him family, right?
Yeah, Kiri definitely does. And like you said, Neytiri doesn't want to embrace him currently, but I could see that changing in the future. But as of right now, not so much.
Exactly. And other than that, it was Jake, telling a gathering of the different Olo Ekdans, like the different chieftains of different clans. It is said that Tonowari was part of this. Obviously, we didn't see him in any panel or anything, but it was implied that they have met there before, so that's most likely the event where they met. So at the time that they meet or they arrive at the Metkayina clan, Tonowari knows of him and knows he's a great warrior, which is even the line that we've heard him say to Loak. You're the son of a great warrior, and so they know of each other. And he mentioned his plan. They thought he was crazy. You're getting a little too close to, their ways themselves, like with guns and everything. But his thing was like, sometimes you have to adapt. You have to, fight them on their own, terms. And he eventually, it looks like he wasn't going to win them over. and eventually it looks like he did. So it looks like he got them on board, and they were gonna enact that plan. They go on a date, him and Neytiri, and that's when everybody witnesses the RDA finally return, and we get General Ardmore, like we said previously, give the ultimatum to both, the Na'vi and mostly the people there on the base that stayed behind after the first movie. Either join back with us, or we're gonna kill all of you. So that's where we were, right? Did I miss anything?
No, I think that sums it up pretty good, bud.
All right. And then, like we said, Volume 2, the only thing we can hypothesize is that, they were going to do the ambush in space. The battle was going to ensue, but we know nothing else that transpired in there. But we will jump into Volume 3. We'll start with the first page. And if we're kind of confused, please excuse us, because we did have to skip a whole volume. So, you guys yourselves in the chat, if you can help us out, let's kind of like piece this together, all of us, and let's have fun. Let me pull up the first page of the High Ground Volume 3. So here we go. Let me go to the bottom portion. You have there what looks like a Valkyrie shuttle. Wait, that's not page 1.
Off to a good start, Jerry.
Oh,
looks like we're missing page 1A, perhaps.
Yeah. What in the world?
No big deal. They're not missing too much there.
Okay, so page 1 apparently. Well, we have 1A, and then when I go to 2, that is 1B.
Yeah, A comes before B, usually.
No, I know. I just remember, isn't there you see basically Loak talking to, or not Loak, Netayam talking to Jake, right? Where he's like, checking on him like, Dad, are you okay? I thought that's where it started.
Oh, this is what I have from you in the order that I have from you. So if it's different,
no,
this is what I have.
All messed up. All right, so we have a Valkyrie shuttle re-entering, obviously coming from space where they were most likely battling. So here we go to 1B. And they're landing back on what it looks like, a designated spot where they were, their little HQ or something for, the good guys, because you see Na'vi there in that bottom right panel. Obviously, you see a human, what looks like they're piloting the shuttle. But now you see there's a ton more, more Valkyrie shuttles, more, different, RDA vehicles coming in as well. So obviously it doesn't seem like the battle in space ended up all too well. It does look like they eventually commandeered a Valkyrie shuttle in order to come back down. But RD8 is hot on their trail. So, I mean, anything else that you think context-wise we might be missing?
No, I think that sums it up pretty good. And if I am, so does it look like I'm missing a page at the very beginning?
Yeah, let me see if I have it here, and I'll just read what it says. If I have it really quick, just give me 1 second. Okay, yeah. So we missed the very first page. So what it was is you're still in space with that first Valkyrie shuttle, and you see them. You see what looks like Netayam say, "Dad, wake up!" Talking to Jake, and it seems like they're both in the spacesuits. They're not wearing. They're inside the shuttle. Jake kind of wakes up, And he says, "Good catch, son." So somehow Netayam, caught him, maybe caught him in space or something to uh, maybe preventing him from floating off into space. He caught him, to re-enter the shuttle. And then it's Neytiri and Netayam as Jake is waking up from the ground, and he's like, I'm okay. And then, you get the human pilot saying re-entry in 3 minutes. And then he just turns to Neytiri and he says, we'll get the kids, baby. And then we start right here where we were on page 1, where it looks like they're finally doing the re-entry 3 minutes later. So he's saying we'll get the kids. So I could assume that the kids are either captured or just endangered down here on Pandora, right?
Yeah, it sounds that way, and that's actually a better intro than what we got. So I'm glad there was a missing page. Thanks for sharing that, Jerry.
And so basically they're coming back down. Like I said, it looks like they have a designated place where they're coming back, but the RDA is hot on their trail. And now we get what looks like General Ardmore say, the rules of engagement, people. You take fire, you hit back. Anywhere except the factory and the power plant. Target shooters, not infrastructure. I want this thing surgical, all right? Weapons hot. And then so you get one of the soldiers here. You heard the old lady. If it's blue, kill it. And yeah, they kind of look like they're kind of in the scale suits already, right?
Yeah, it does. And honestly, if I didn't know any better, I would have said that was Colonel Quaritch himself, but obviously it's not.
And then basically you get right here what looks like Norm to me. Say, you want me to get the Samson? Yet Jake says, no, we're going in old school. And so that means they're taking the Banshees, the Ikran. And then Norm's like, that's a good good luck. They just leave already. But then it looks like Netayam is also following. He's like, Netayam, no. You see, this is exactly how, stuff gets screwed up.
Netayam has too much of his father in him, but maybe that's a good thing.
Right. I think that actually comes up shortly. Let's see. Devil Dog, this is Pathfinder. I'm on your 6. So what I believe is going on there is that they're listening in to the RDA is how I understood that. That they're listening into like the RDA's kind of like comms messages to each other. Because I don't think they would they would be talking to each other like that. And then so you see Jake notice that Netayam is there. He's like, Netayam. And then he gets into his inner monologue again that we've seen in volume 1 anytime these blue the blue speech not bubbles but like speech squares show up, and he's like, what was I gonna do?
Hey, something I will add, Jerry, is I actually think they were talking like I think they're using code names themselves. Devil Dog being Jake.
Okay. All right, yeah, you're right. I think so.
And that's just a nickname for a Marine, a Devil Dog.
Oh, okay. All right, that makes sense. And then he says, what was I going to do? Yell at him for doing exactly what I would have done. Exactly like you mentioned, he has too much of Jake in him. I think that's probably going to be the thing is he might be the most that resembles Jake in terms of that, like always feeling like, they need to just rush out into it. We've kind of even see it play out in the trailers. He's like, I'm a warrior, I need to fight or whatever he said in the recent ad or trailer. I forgot which one. They're kind of getting muddled now. And I'll just finish off this page and then we can have you continued before. But actually, I did want to state something, and we brought this up in a discussion, but I don't think on the live stream. In terms of these blue speech, whatever, I'll just say speech bubbles. These blue ones where it's kind of Jake talking, it's like we mentioned from the future talking about, because these events, it seems like these were in the past, right? Even with the first volume, we noticed it was him just basically narrating the events that happened. You had key phrases like him saying, and you're kind of wondering, like, I said this was the time of great sorrow, or when it's a panel on like the family flying together with Ikrans, and he's like, and it's just that in order for you to understand what we lost, like basically I need to show it to you first. So the family as a whole. So I kind of theorized with you a little bit. I'm like, how far in the future are these thoughts coming from? Are they coming from like just the time when Avatar 2 starts? He was like at some point already reflecting on these events? Or could this even be years down the road? Like even from after what we see of Avatar 2? So I don't know. That'd be an interesting, to eventually see if it's addressed at any point in time when he was having these thoughts about everything in the past. Because stating right there that this whole time period is going to be referred to as the time of the great sorrow, I questioned to you. I was like, doesn't that kind of imply that this time has already happened and he has already lived through it? And he's recounting all these events. At least that's what comes to my mind. I could be completely wrong.
Sometimes I think it depends what's being said. I feel like this page specifically was more what he's thinking. But I definitely agree with what you're saying. I mean, it definitely, sometimes when he's narrating, it feels like he's stepped back and he's telling a story versus maybe specifically on this page.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I'll finish the rest of this page. Copy Pathfinder, stay tight on me. Do what I say when I say, got it. And then, he says, Roger that. You're staying with the Ikran, understood? But yes, sir. Good. So there we go. And then I can let you take the next few panels or pages.
Very word heavy here too. So it looks like we've got some amp suits coming down to some RDA soldiers. And that's Spider, and it looks like he's got maybe a fire extinguisher trying to break some glass, saying, come on! Then as he gets through, finally, and then we see him running down a tunnel, and it cuts over to what I believe is his stepdad, McCosker, and someone's telling him to drop the weapon, or someone's saying, drop the weapon. So then we see the RDA with the skeleton suit on saying, where are the Sully kids? Biolab, ambient room, it's over. Show me. Then as they're leading off McCosker, hands behind your heads, now. Then we get to see some more of, just looks like Spider, and he's trying to free the Sully kids, is what it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like Neytiri, basically Kiri, and would it be Loak then? Yeah, Loak.
Yeah, yep, Loak. So he keeps trying to free them, pry into where they're being held at, which is obviously the biolab. Everybody together, push! Some grunts, some groans, some rumbles as they're starting to get this door to move. Come on, hurry, we gotta go. So you see Spider just taking the hands of Kiri, of course, because those two have quite the special bond, it seems like. And off they go as Spider grabs a mask.
Yep. There you go. So it looks like the kids were captured. So it makes sense to what Jake said before. We'll get the kids, baby, talking to Neytiri. So it looks like they had captured the children as they were fighting in space. So it does seem like they didn't really, ambush all of them. Some of them did come down and were able to. Most likely, I'm assuming this is probably Hell's Gate, right?
I don't know.
I think there's a line he says in a little bit, right here actually. So that's what gave me that impression.
I grew up in these tunnels.
Yeah. So I'm thinking because we know that basically the where he was with his adopted human family was staying at Hell's Gate. So I guess I'm assuming this is probably Hell's Gate then, which is probably why you saw McCosker there.
Yeah, for sure. And Charlie Wood said something. I agree. I called him his stepdad, but foster dad would be a more appropriate term.
Oh yeah, exactly. Let's see. All right, I'll continue here. Uh, and I got you these, and and it says thanks, bro. Couldn't really figure out what it was. Can you see what they were?
No, is that the
Were they
calm
just like
thing that they
oh,
wear?
probably comms?
It's really hard to tell though from that. A lucky horseshoe? I'm not sure. No, my guess was the comms, but honestly, it's totally a guess there.
Yeah. And he says this way. And then down here, obviously, we were talking about. He's like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "I grew up in these tunnels, so that's where I'm assuming this was Hell's Gate." And then, man, just these shots of the soldiers in like the scale suits that we've gotten, especially even this one. Man, I'm loving these shots and this artwork as well.
Intimidating,
We
aren't
haven't
they?
commented on the artwork. I love. It's a bit darker, but I think right now it's applicable. Like it's really like stuff has hit the fan, so it's really applicable. But yeah, man, they look. I love these angles, like looking up at them. It makes them seem like even more imposing and intimidating. Because we know these are little nimble suits, but just in art form right here, they look great, man.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm not sure who the artist is on this, or I would say their name, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
Yeah, and there will be two artists. So I think about halfway through this volume, or it does switch to a second artist, which I also love. That when we get to it. So yeah, I love both of the art, and the artists in this last volume here. So let's see. They said they're in there, safe and sound. And then they realize they're not. They're gone. They're on the move. Let's go. And
Love
then
that
we
top
get
panel.
yeah. So we get what looks like Jake and Neytiri behind him, kind of sneaking up on, like I said, what I believe is Hell's Gate. So the base here, and then in that middle panel at the bottom, I love it because you can just see Neytiri just pointing up. Like let's go from above, and then just the very next panel, you see her like up there, just being all sneaky. Oh man, reminiscent of like when she was on that tree when we first saw her for the first time.
Yes.
And just Spider leading the kids out of there. They're about to head into what looks like back to the forest. And then here, I guess we get the name of one of the Ikrons for somebody, or because I believe it's Kiri that says it's Tani, unless it's one that we know of already. But I think it's a new one. And
Yeah, and just assuming again, no idea if this is correct. I was assuming it's hers, but I could totally be wrong we may know that from Volume 2.
Exactly. Um, oh yeah, you're right. You're right because she did volume 1. Yeah, we got that panel where she did tame one very young. So you're right. It could be hers, and this probably helps that little theory because the Ikran does some noises, and then it looks like she's kind of responding with noises as well. You know, kind of like when Neytiri called Seze when she was first, showing Jake. When Seze startled him coming out of the tree branches there, and then I think this is Sorry.
Could you imitate that call that Neytiri
No,
did?
I knew this was I was being set up for this, and Thanksgiving, yeah, my throat's shot, so I can't. I would.
I would love to as well, but I don't go that high. I wish I could.
Oh man. But and then we see Neytiri kind of notice it. It looks like, at least to me, it looks like that's Neytiri.
Yeah, I believe it is.
Okay, and then let's see here. We'll go to and then Kiri saying, "Come on," and I think still calling talking to the Ikran. Then it looks like it's finally showing up. But dang, what looks to me is in that bottom panel, it looks like multiple of those Ikran that were trying to help them just got taken down, right?
Yeah, that's awful.
Man, and maybe the one that she was talking about, Tawny, might have been one of those too. So that's terrible right there. Yep. And I believe that's Loak telling Kiri, no, we have to run. And then you have the skills. Sorry?
I mean, they're not the size of and probably don't have the firepower of the amp suits, but that really shows the skull suits are dangerous in their own right. I mean, if they can take out multiple Ikran that easy.
Exactly. And then like this, like already catch up to them because they had a head start. So that's where you see, they're more nimble, agile, and they're very fast. So what looks to be the defects in terms of, you seem almost completely exposed. They basically make up for that in many other ways. So yeah, it's still very. I like that. I love the original amp suit design, but obviously, you seemed more protected, but a lot slower, clunkier. And these I love the trade-offs that they have. This one's like so much faster, could probably be just as, if not more dangerous because of that. Yet you seem like more exposed. So, for like arrows and things like that, can actually pick you off a lot faster. But I love that there's these little trade-offs that they have. And yeah, it just says freeze on the ground. And I'll finish this one off here, and then I'll let you do the other ones. And basically, they just, looks like, continue running. They don't actually just get on the ground. So, weapons down. We need them alive. And then
this also harkens back to what you mentioned earlier. That first time we see Neytiri when she's up on the tree branch.
Yeah.
So as she's watching this unfold, she's watching the kids run. She's watching them be pursued by these skull suits. And then she draws back and does what Neytiri does. Thwop. Ah! So then the skull suits just start shooting. Butta. And then we see Jake also coming. Oh, excuse me. I think that's actually Jake firing his gun. Go, telling the kids to run. So he's there with Neytiri as well.
Yeah.
So then the skull suits just open up on the kids as they're trying to flee. Or actually, is that actually might be Neytiri and Jake?
Yeah,
Contact. I've
probably
got.
yeah. Neytiri and Jake because of the bow and stuff.
So basically, they're taking the fire away from them, going after the kids, and directing it towards themselves so the kids can escape.
Yeah. Right there with the gun. Is that his like arm and hand going into the back of the gun, or
It looks like it, yeah.
because I stared at that panel, I was like, wait, what's going on here? Um, yeah, I guess, yeah. Huh. That's interesting.
It is interesting. Not exactly sure how that would work, but hey, it'd be
It's
cool to
probably
see
just
more of these.
yeah, exactly. I mean, we probably will in the second movie. It's probably hollow in
Absolutely.
there, and it's just to allow them to, to basically move their hand in that way, and just doing the motion that they're pulling the trigger, it actually just lets the real scale hand actually, pull the trigger on the gun. So I'm just assuming it might be hollow. Maybe there's something in there that they can also pull with the, their regular hand, but yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting.
Contact. I've got Sully. He's engaging us. South Complex. I'm popping smoke. So then they pop smoke. We see Jake, or excuse me, we see Netiem. Devil Dog, I'm inbound to your POS. Crap. So looks like we've got Netiem coming in, bringing some Ikran perhaps. Neytiri's running. We see Neytiri jump down and get on her new Ikran, Seize 2.0.
Until we have the actual name.
That's what I'm calling her. Yes, until we have the actual name. So we see Neytiri diving down, saying hoorah. I believe she is headed down to pick up Jake.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah.
I believe she got on her new Ikran and dove down to save him. Then we see the skull suits shooting at them as they're taking off. Actually, in looking back, I think we see Neytiri seeing Jake, but I think Jake actually might hop on Bob versus get on with Neytiri.
Yeah, because it looks
then
like
we
he
see
got
them
on when that was empty. Yeah.
right, and says hoorah. Then we see them flying away as the skull suits continue to shoot at him. Luckily, they don't hit any of the Banshees this time.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
they say, dang it, time for plan B.
All right, and then I'll just read the final ones here. And it looks like they're back. They kind of regrouped a little bit. And you actually get what looked like in that bottom panel some like RDA, just mechanical like dog creatures. So so yeah, and they're part of the SecOps, the security operations as well. I believe this is
Those
the
are
first time
creepy,
we ever.
man.
This is the first time we see these, right? I don't think even in a game we saw these. I don't think.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like this before.
But yeah, you're right. Creepy. RDA is like we'll come with our own type of creatures here, but and just like you would do with when you're hunting with a real dog, you kind of let them catch scent. Here it's mostly like they're obviously not going to really smell it and have the scent, but it's just that same type of they're analyzing all the scraps of clothes. You're like, here boy, and then something from the girl, possibly maybe Kiri or or Tuktiri. And the boy. And the other one says, "Man, I love these shots just from the down looking up. Man, they just look so intimidating."
Yeah,
Okay,
they
they're
are.
locked. Yeah, they're locked on the chemo signatures. All right. Let's get this done. And as you see them mobilizing and now following after those that are going to take them straight to, the kids. And so basically take them straight to the kids. And that's the last panel. We have them all mobilizing. Even it looks like original amp suits there in the back behind these new scale suits. And yeah, so that's our first taste into Volume 3 of the High Ground. So, not very word heavy, not too much exposition. It's very just fast paced. It's obviously I wish we would have had the context of all of Volume 2, where we could have gotten more exposition and all that. And it seems we entered something like mid battle in a way, like we the first portion of it all took place in space, and probably some units coming down and going to Hell's Gate, because obviously the kids were captured. Oh, you know what? You know what it was? It maybe wasn't even the RDA that captured the kids. Now that I'm just thinking about it right now, I think it was McCosker who captured them.
Really?
I'm because they were questioning like, where are they? And he was kind of saying like, I put them in here, like they're right here. Like, how would he know exactly? I think maybe what could have happened is like, it kind of looked like McCosker was turning on them, but the plan failed because Spider came in and actually saved them. At least that's where I'm kind of viewing it now, because it's like he quickly just gave that away. They were just like, where are they? So he was probably like, I'll get the kids or whatever. And it probably at some point in Volume 2 was like, I got them. Somewhere towards the end of Volume 2, we probably see him like he probably switched towards the end of Volume 2, where maybe the whole time we thought he was going to remain on Jake's side. Maybe he does a switch towards the end and actually captures the remaining children for the RDA, and that's how like the Volume 2 ends right there. Ooh.
I hate to defend McCosker because I don't like him, but wasn't he holding like a weapon and they said, drop the weapon and then bound his hands?
Yeah, so that's where, like, I don't know, I kind of feel, because it doesn't look like RDA people, because it looks like they're just arriving for the most part. It kind of looks like you saw a lot of them just enter enter Pandora in a lot of the shuttles and the different RDA craft. It could be, I mean, that was just like my little theory. I don't know if anybody else.
No, I like that theory, and I'm not saying it's wrong. It could be that maybe they don't fully trust him, and he turned on them versus not turning on Spider as well, but turning on the Sully kids. So it definitely could be. I was just curious how you took that part where they then bound him as well.
Yeah, because we seem to have heavily like that was the point of contention towards the very end of the Volume 1, was where General Ardmore is like, any of you that decide to switch sides and help us out, like you'll be welcomed, but if you decide to stay and fight against us, you will all be killed. And he already, him and his wife looked like they were already having trouble with that. They're like, no, we gotta, we gotta do something. Like, come on, like, kill us all. So I'm thinking that could have been the case. Yeah. It'd be interesting to finally revisit Volume 2 after all this. Even it sucks that it'll probably be, no, I think we'll read it before we see the movie. Like, if we pick it up from the shops, Obviously, if it doesn't get delayed again from comic shops, the physical version, we'll get it like the day before the movie. So I'll do a read through of it, just just myself, and then go see the movie. Obviously, the next day. It just sucks we won't be able to do a whole like go through it breakdown stream type of thing.
Yeah, it does, and it definitely looks like there's going to be some questions unanswered, which I'm happy about. I mean, that makes getting Volume 2 fun still in the future, even though we know how the whole series ends.
Yeah. And just to answer Captain Nemo, is this the last page? No, this is only page 20 of this is only up to around page 20. There's close to 90 pages of this story. But this we felt like let's just share this portion today, and we're going to do more streams this week to finish it off, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm down to finish this off this week if you are.
Yeah, so we'll probably give it a couple days in between each stream, and so maybe in 2 days' time or 2 to 3 days' time, we'll come back and do the second one, and we'll finish it off in 3 with the third one. So the next two are going to have more pages because we didn't realize until after we kind of set it up that they really aren't as word heavy as Volume 1 was, because that one gave us a lot more story to dive into, and a lot of intrigue, like, oh man, you got the whole some revelations about Spider and things like that. This one seems very action packed, so the next two are going to contain almost upwards of like 30 or 30 some odd pages each to finish it off in 3 parts. So yeah,
this is a good starting point. But like you said, we'll get a little bit more meat to the story in the next 2 portions. But there's always that balance of trying to find how many pages to do versus kind of when the story allows you to pop out. So the next one will probably have a little bit more dialogue and a little bit more story to the story, I should say.
Exactly, because then it got very into the story, and then it gave us no real clear like cutoff to end it. It would really be like mid conversation or something. It would just abruptly end. So this page right here, we're like, okay, they're basically now really gonna hunt them down. Like, let's go. We brought out the dogs, and then it really gets you for the next part. They're just gonna go full on from there. So apologize if if it seems a little short, but each of the next 2 are gonna be a lot longer, we promise. But we also had some other news that we wanted to cover in this stream. That's also why we chose for this one to be a little shorter than the other 2. So, but yeah, what did you guys think so far? I mean, I know Brianna Brown says we need more of this. It's getting interesting. We'll get there. We'll get there. At the same time, we want to kind of give it its due. Like, give it 2 or 3 parts. Not go through too much, or even just half of the volume in one stream. So we're so close to the movie itself. This is gonna tide us over until then. But this week we will finish it. So just give us like a couple days in between each stream, and we'll get it done this week. But yeah, what did you guys think so far? And what did you think, Drew?
Excited, man. I saw Montano say mechanical dogs. I wonder what else they're not showing us. And that's the same thought I had. It's like, all right, we're just getting started into Volume 3, and now they're pulling out. We see these skell suits are actually quite formidable. We've got mechanical dogs now. Like, what else is coming that we don't even know about yet? We're talking about a movie that's 3 hours and 10 minutes or so long. They've obviously brought more technology. They can, we've all heard about how they can 3D print basically anything they need now. The RDA looks very formidable. So I'm excited. I'm really digging this art style. There's not a ton of dialogue here at the beginning, which really isn't bad for reading, like as far as sitting down with a comic in your hands, but it makes for maybe slightly more boring stream for us. Like we'd rather be reading some more dialogue for you guys, but man, I'm loving this art. And I can't wait to see where this story goes.
Yeah, I think the art kind of, saved the fact that there wasn't much dialogue, because I think a lot of the panels they were just saying a lot without having to actually say it, even though it was just there wasn't much actual conversation that was going to happen between characters. It was just visually interesting, and you got a lot of information just looking at these panels, man. Like a lot of them, a lot of these shots. I love that they're this point of view, like we've said, kind of looking up at the scale suits, making them seem very imposing. And right off the bat, they it seems like they're a very what is it? It's not rare. It's it's like their new. It's like their new toy, and they're just looking to show it off because now like there's a ton of scale suits. Like right off the bat, we it took no time to introduce them, and just basically like that's their main one now. Because you could see back there with the amp suits, you're never gonna catch the Sully kids with just an amp suit, and especially with just the humans by themselves traversing the forest. That's also not gonna work. So it's very smart that they now have these, that it's like that clear mechanical answer to how can we still get maybe meet the how agile a Navi is, or even their avatars, but still keep it where it's still a human controlling this machine.
Yeah, I think that's a great middle ground because, I mean, you get a human versus a Navi, and that's human doesn't stand a chance, but this definitely lets the humans stand a little bit more of a chance one on one, or definitely as a group. So I think that's fun instead of seeing a bunch of tiny little humans running around the forest who can't really do anything. Kind of makes them much more formidable going forward. I think that was a good idea.
Yeah, because even in the final battle of the first movie, you still had, down there in the forest area, a lot of just like you said, just humans running around, which very vulnerable, to the creatures of Pandora. Obviously, wouldn't stand a chance against a Navi unless you're really shooting them from a great distance. So this is, I love it because, obviously we don't like the RDA, but I like that it's more. It seems more of a even battle. They're more intimidating. They're very well prepared. And yeah, man, they're not messing around. Because just in this one, we already see they're not messing around. Can you imagine, like, in the movie itself? It really... And another interesting thing, no recom talk at all. Like, we're even in Vol.3, and it doesn't really seem like the recoms are a thing. Like, like, they haven't awoken them yet or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is interesting. Man, I wish we had Volume 2 to skim through, but gonna have to wait on that one. I wouldn't have been surprised if we didn't see recoms, and there's always a chance we still could, but I would actually be surprised since we're a third of the way through and we haven't seen them yet. So, guess they're saving that for the movies.
Yeah, I wonder if in Volume 2, like you were saying, we might have gotten a kind of like a tease or like a little cameo of some of the recon bodies, maybe in like it's still in the tubes and things like that. Maybe because they had to have been growing them during the flight over, right? So maybe there was like a panel where you kind of see some right there, or maybe they're in conversation. They kind of mention them, but yeah, or Project Phoenix, because yeah, like now I haven't heard that anywhere. But in that first initial teaser, if you zoom in, like they have the Project Phoenix on there, so I love that because it's a clear, little homage to the fact that it is basically their version of like a rebirth, like a phoenix, rises back from the ashes. So like, I love that little Project Phoenix there. So,
and what Jerry's talking about there is that's a patch that we see on almost every recom, if not every recom that they're wearing.
Exactly. But yeah, guys, I hope you love this initial taste. Like I said, they're going to be meatier. The next two that we do this week are going to be meatier. And yeah, once we get through that third one, we'll be all set for the movie itself. But I'm loving this so far. It's kind of just hit the ground running. So even though we're missing a lot of context, I still had a lot of fun with this one. The art is amazing, and I've skimmed through the rest because I didn't want to completely spoil myself until we're getting the day of or the day before we do the streams to get obviously to know what the story is that we're going to read the next day. So I've just skimmed, and we do get a change in artist halfway through, but I also love what I've seen of that art as I'm kind of like skimming through. But yeah, I'm excited to go through the next two, especially with the more pages that we're going to show. But we do have a
Yeah,
bit of need.
oh,
Yeah.
sorry about that.
Oh, no,
Yeah, I'm the same way. I have skimmed through because I mean we've been going through the images and uploading them and this and that, but I don't know what happens in this volume. Um, I wanted to be like you guys, or at least most of you guys, besides CJ, who hasn't read this yet, and so when I have an idea or thought, I'm at the same place as you guys. I'm just guessing because I don't know where this ends up yet.
exactly. And then Montano Productions asked us, like, so do these scale suits go underwater too? I don't think so. I think that's why we have and especially because if you look right here, the clearly says that these are the for sec ops, so like the security operations, which as we've seen in the first movie, it's more like the ground based stuff. Whereas we've seen now with a lot of the watercraft on the side of the watercraft, we see set ops like CET, OPS, which I've theorized that it stands for cetacean operations, and cetacean is a word for like kind of like whales, dolphins, things like that. So it would make sense. I don't know if I theorized in a video a few months back that maybe maybe they're hunting some of the Tulkuns or some of the Pandoran sea life for one reason or another, because we do see they do have like those massive harpoons, so obviously very reminiscent of like whaling ships that we have here on Earth, things like that. um but yeah, so I don't think so, but I think to answer this, we have the crab suits, because they have mentioned the crab suits are going to be like the water version of the amp suits. It's a single person vehicle that can go underwater and can basically walk like a crab on land. So that one's going to be very interesting to see, because we honestly, aside from a few shots in the trailer just underwater, we haven't seen too much of them. So it's still going to be interesting to see how that all works and plays out, and see them kind of like run around on land, basically like a mechanical crab. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think these are going to be for underwater, but um, at this point, I'm not ruling anything out. These do appear to be much more like land based, jungle based. Seems like they'd be a lot more useful there, but I'm sure we're going to see tons of new technology. I'm excited. And again, it's like what Jerry said. We're not excited because we like the RDA or we want them to win or anything like that. It just makes for a better story. And that's really it. I'm pro, not V all the way, guys.
Exactly. And I mean, like we've seen from interviews, even Quaritch himself is kind of gonna think like Jake, where Jake's thought was, in order for us to really maybe stand a chance or even beat them, like you kind of gotta fight like they do. Quaritch himself has, Stephen Lang has mentioned Quaritch is gonna apply the same concepts, but in terms of he's gonna be going more Pandoran. He's gonna also adapt to using like Pandoran weapons, like Navi weapons, Navi form of travel. We saw that confirmed in the most recent uh, trailer or ad. Like I said, they're getting jumbled up in my head now. But that shot where we see him with Spider, I believe that's the new official trailer. So yeah, we already see it confirmed there that they are gonna ride these recoms are gonna ride the Ikran. So yeah, it's just going to be very interesting. They're going to be very evenly matched for the most part. So it's going to be a tough battle. It's not going to be, so easy for one side or the other. So
I thought it was cool again seeing like every time Kiri is able to do things that are beyond what a normal not V can do. She didn't do anything crazy this time, but I don't know. It seems odd that as soon as they escape, their Ikrons are magically coming to swoop down and save them. Again, I think it's some kind of power, maybe that Kiri has.
yeah,
She definitely can bond with Pandora like no one else. So, still super interested to learn more about her and see what else we see in Volume 3 from her.
exactly. And it truly shows that no matter, it's not like these volumes are really gonna contain super super spoilers. Even the stuff with Spider, like it's very heavily implied, but it's not 100% stated. Who the father is, but especially with like things like you were mentioning, like with Kiri. Honestly, we're still going into this movie, and who knows what the rest of this volume could give us. But we're probably still gonna most likely go into this movie not knowing much. She's still gonna be a big mystery. So I love that no matter the trailers or even this, like a story that takes place right before. I love that we're still gonna have that air of mystery for a lot of characters, not just Kiri, but especially the Kiri one. I was like, that's the one I was like, I really don't want to know how everything works with her 100% before we sit down to watch it unfold in the movie and get explained, or even if they don't outright explain it, kind of like imply it. So I love that aspect. We're still going to go in not knowing too much.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to know too much. I feel like we know a decent amount, but not too much. Like it hasn't crossed that threshold for me because there's so many things I just want to know more about. So, as far as that goes, that marketing is definitely working on me. I'm excited, really excited, especially as we're almost in December now.
Exactly. We're just literally days away, guys, from entering the month of release of the movie. A lot of us already have our tickets, multiple tickets. So we're ready. And that like kind of segues us into, before we end the stream, we have a few topics, recent news or interesting things that have come up that we want to cover here very quickly. And if in case any of you haven't heard any of these, or at least like that, we can kind of discuss them a little bit. But speaking of it being finished, that's one of the first ones. Is we got that post from Jon Landau that the movie is 100% finished. It's in the can. They finished the final mixing on the audio and like all the visual. So it's 100% done. Right there, we see our boy James Cameron with one of the biggest champagne bottles I've ever seen. So
That's so awesome, though, and it's crazy that it takes this long to get everything completely finished. Like, I'm glad we're there, though. Not a
exactly.
moment too soon.
Yeah. 13 years after the first one. And honestly, 5 years plus from when, not even when a lot of this pre production was done, but because, I'm sure a lot of this team has been working, most likely of the entire 13 years, but like heavily pre production. But at least when these actors that we know of right now that are in the movie, they began filming these performance capture scenes in towards the second half of 2017. So that's going on like 5 years.
Yeah,
That's
a
a
long
long
time
time.
ago.
So I mean, we've seen they've really grown already just in the 5 year span since they started the performance capture. So it's crazy that it really is taking this long. So but a lot of the talk right now, it's finished and all that, but a lot of the talk has been You go online, and a lot of these headlines are it needs to, James Cameron says that it needs to reach 2 billion just to break even. And all these headlines, a lot of YouTubers are saying it, they're going with it. And it's not true. I know he said, he didn't outright even put a number on it. He had when asked, what the budget was and something like that, he said it's a lot, and that the break even threshold would be somewhere of it being, needing to be like the third or fourth highest grossing movie of all time. So when people looked at the charts and they kind of did the math, they rounded out like, oh, okay, so he's saying it needs to make 2 billion in order to just break even. It's gonna, then there you go, it's not gonna make it, and it's gonna flop. Even if it passes a billion, it's not gonna generate money, because apparently it can't until it hits 2 billion, and that's absurd. Right? Like that's absurd.
Yeah, I think it got blown out of proportion just to get headlines and clicks, which, a lot of things do anymore. But I mean, it is obviously it's true, and we all knew it. It's going to need to make a lot of money. But I don't think we're going to have any problems from everything we've seen. I think it is going to make a lot of money. And I think the next one is too. And hopefully this one does so well. And when I say this one, I mean Avatar 2 does so well that they go ahead and green light 4 and 5. Will that happen immediately? I have no idea. But I hope so. For everything I've seen, it just looks amazing. I think it's going to do what the last one did. I think it's going to have staying power, word of mouth. People are going to tell everybody, hey, you need to go see Avatar 2. So, can't wait to see what it does. I don't think it's going to let us down on the money side of things. I know we've talked about this several times. I don't want to put a number on it, but I don't want to say, yeah, it's going to hit 2 billion, but if me and Jerry were talking about this, if Top Gun Maverick can hit 1.5 billion, I don't see any reason Avatar 2 can't come close, if not past 2 billion. So, we'll see, guys. We're going to find out soon.
Exactly. And THR here, apparently they have some sources, so they kind of cleared it up a little bit. But some outlets were still confused, which is where I got these quotes. But I still put both of them so you can see. So it says here, a recent piece from THR, the Hollywood Reporter, very reputable. It's up there with Variety, Deadline. Those three, that's the holy trinity right there. If you see something reported from the Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, or Variety, almost good as gold. Anywhere else, take that with a heavy grain of salt. They've reportedly revealed the budget for Avatar: The Way of Water. According to sources close to the production that they have, the movie is one of the priciest in Hollywood history, costing between $350 million to $400 million. With Disney having spent over $1 billion over the 4 Avatar sequels, it's no surprise that the movie would be more expensive than the first installment, which cost $237 million. And so here, then they went on and said, okay, so with it costing over 400, the high price of the sequel could spell trouble for the franchise's future. Add marketing costs, and the price tag could be even more expensive by the time the film releases in theaters. The first Avatar is the highest grossing movie of all time, having made over $2.9 billion worldwide. For Avatar: The Way of Water to have a successful theatrical run, it must at least make $2 billion at the box office to break even and recoup its large budget. So here I think they kind of didn't really crunch the numbers. I think this was a Screen Rant that I got this from. Because it's like, if you see right there then that the budget is reported at between 350 to 400 million, you don't need 2 billion. So that kind of actually cleared up the debate rather than, but added more fuel to that fire. I think it should have put out the fire, because as I explained in a tweet that I put out, so I say, no, Avatar: The Way of Water does not need to hit 2 billion to break even. That would have meant its budget would have been around 800 million, which would never happen. The Hollywood Reporter rightly is reporting the budget between 350 to 400, And this is, where a lot of people mix it up. They had, okay, well, the marketing cost, and and basically the you don't get 100% of the profits from all the tickets. The theaters keep around 33%. So usually what you do is you take the initial budget. So now that we know it's like 350 to 400, and what you do to find the break even, obviously give or take, is you do a 2.5. So using that general rule to find the break even, it would actually just put it at, and I know I just say just, but the break even would be between 875 million to just 1 billion. So even in the worst case scenario of the 400 million, it would only need a billion. Anything after a billion, give or take, should be profit. It shouldn't need, you would have to double that to need 2 billion. You would have to get into that 800 million range. And just so a lot of you guys know, even though 350 seems high and it's up there, and even the 400, I don't know how many of you know, but it's being reported right now that the budget for Fast 10, just to put it into context, that the budget of Fast 10, which is coming out, I believe, this upcoming year, is ballooning itself to $350 million.
Wow.
So
That is a
just
lot
to
for
put it
that.
into context, where do you think you're getting the most bang for your buck? This the revolutionary looking movie, next level, that is probably going to redefine the next decade of what movies can look like and what they can do with brand new tech, or another Fast and Furious movie is costing the same amount of money as Avatar 2. That is insane. Insane, man. But yeah, I just wanted to clear that up really quick. Yeah.
It is, and I would assume Avatar 2 may cost more. I mean, inflation notwithstanding, may cost more than 3, 4, 5, simply because they had to develop
Yeah.
so much technology to get it off the ground, and they spent so much time working on it. So I expect a higher number, definitely for 2 as opposed to 3. So yeah,
Exactly.
people are just getting a little bit excited with those numbers they're throwing out there. I don't think Fox would have ever been down for that, to spend that much on one movie. That would be ridiculous to have to hit 2 billion to even break even. Like, that's just not a good business move for anybody.
Exactly. Because yeah, the early reported budget for all four was 1 billion. Obviously, we knew like that's gonna rise. It's not gonna be a firm like, no, you have to stick within the 1 billion. Like you said, honestly, this took a lot longer than they anticipated. They had to delay it multiple times, so obviously, it did take longer than they anticipated. That's more R&D work. That's more money spent on pre-production, things like that. And like you perfectly said, the bulk of the upfront cost, because of all those years of added, you know, R&D work and all that you had to fund, it's gonna basically be put onto the first one, Avatar 2. But then, like you said, 3, 4, and 5 shouldn't. I mean, maybe they will, but they shouldn't reach this number of 400 million, because also a lot that they're building now, character models, creature models, environments, a lot of those assets, they were upfront costs now, but they can most likely be reused for the other sequels. As me and you have kind of said, I don't think there's going to keep being a visual jump, to the extent that you just saw from 1 to 2, which 1 still now looks better than most movies we're getting today. You're not going to keep getting that jump even up to 5. I believe obviously they're going to keep improving. It's a few years down the road, but it's not going to be a very significant jump. They're kind of probably all going to stay around what Avatar 2 looks like, right? Most likely.
That's my belief anyway. I think while they're making these movies, they don't really have time necessarily to invest in trying to make them look even better significantly. I'm sure there'll be small improvements, but yeah, I feel like what we're seeing now for Avatar 2 is what we're going to get up through 5.
Exactly. And I'm sure when James answered that question, I'm sure in his head, like when you really have four movies, he's not dealing with these on an individual basis. Like he actually did shoot 2 and 3 back to back, and honestly, and the first act of four. So it really is hard for him to, nobody's there. Like, okay, so this amount of money was only spent on two, and this one is like he kind of thinks of it. He probably just thought of this whole initial production, like 2, 3, first act of four, as one single thing, and probably as an overall for 2, 3, and first act of four. Obviously, what they spent, he's saying, okay, to basically make money, we have to get to 2 billion, which is fine because that does split it evenly. 2 needing to reach 1 billion and 3 needing to reach 1 billion. That's what I think he meant. It's probably hard to kind of keep separating these things and these numbers. So, but yeah.
Well, and it's a good thing for us that China is allowing it to be shown there. It's going to have the same December 16th release date because, as we've mentioned before, the domestic take for Avatar was only a fraction of what the movie made. I think it was like 27%, maybe just shy of 27%. So, I mean, the foreign box office is huge. I know China's has been suffering with COVID lockdowns, but still, it's going to be a huge boost to them making the money that we need to see out of it to get exactly. 4 and 5 secured. So I was really glad to hear that China was going to be showing it.
Yeah, that's a really big deal because honestly, no huge Disney movie has gotten a China release since 2019. So it's a very big deal, and it's very promising for the Avatar franchise themselves. So, being one that actually China is embracing with open arms, that's very rare nowadays. So yeah, it's looking very good for box office, and just in general, it's good that, I love that people in that country that really did support the first one by, in 2021, they even asked Lightstorm and, James, like, can we release it in our country? That's why they didn't get this current remaster we got this year, because they actually did get to exclusively like show it again in China in 2021. And just there alone, it made $50 million. When here, every other country got the remaster, and we made around 70 something. China themselves got to 50 just in that one country. So that shows you the interest there is huge, so. But
yeah, absolutely. I'm really glad that happened. And hopefully the sequels will be able to too. I know they have some odd laws or restrictions over there, so hopefully nothing happens that keeps them from being able to see 3 as well.
Exactly. And then to switch it up into some more positive, interesting things, here's some very quick. I got a couple. Here's some looks at a couple treats or snacks that are actually going to debut at Tokyo Disney Sea, which is one of 2, I believe, Disney parks in Japan. They're going to get this little meal right here, this little, Pandoran themed treat, obviously themed after, the Way of Water. You got the plate there, and you got the treat itself. So, and I always love seeing all these like interesting looking treats that, a lot of YouTubers go to like the Disney parks and all that. So, I mean, it looks cool, and happy for those people there at Tokyo Disney Sea. They get to try out the snack. And then they even have a drink as well, which is going to be, and this is probably my favorite of the 2, just because, like, look at that. Like, the top part, like, really does look like actual plants and everything. So that's cool, man. And then, it's going to have some glowing aspect to it at the bottom of the cup. So the whole cup is going to kind of glow. So you can kind of see it a little bit there. But, that's kind of cool.
So fried elu, and what is the drink?
Oh, my God. No. Okay, we'll change it. We'll change it. No, not
actual Pandoran water.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's just the actual water. You still got like some dirt in there, and
they just scooped it.
Yeah, they just scooped it, man. and just the water itself glows. But
No, those both do look really cool. That drinks. I don't know. I'd need a straw, I think, to actually get any drink, but it's cool looking.
yeah, yeah, I love the they do all these cool little treats and everything all the time. And I'm sure the actual Pandora land that we have in Florida are gonna is gonna get some new food items themselves, because they actually have like two different food options there, like stands or a restaurant. So I'm sure they're gonna get some options as well pretty soon. And
Yeah, it'll be
then
interesting to see how that land grows and changes um, with Avatar 2, with the success that it's going to have.
exactly, man, we've kind of theorized, we're like, we really hope so, because not only does huge box office, it just helps the overall franchise as a whole. It gets us away from that stigma that it has, where people are like, nobody cares, it's too late. Yeah, tell that to Top Gun, that 36 years later made 1.5 billion, at beating every other movie this year, superhero movies included. So tell that to something almost 40 years later. I think 13 is long, but I think that's okay. It's I think we're okay, and we see that the hype is there, man. The trailers are progressively getting more and more views in like first 24-hour period, the first week. So I think the hype is there, it's building. And yeah, just to see what this could do to the park. We're like, we know that there was initially supposed to be 3 rides, but because of budget cuts at the time, they only went forward with 2 of them. And obviously, the most popular, Flight of Passage, has become, honestly, I think, the top rated ride in all of the Walt Disney World Resort. So, at least for a time. So that's crazy to think about, that wasn't even meant to be like their number one showcase attraction. So it's very interesting. Like, will they revisit that? Will they now retheme it? Taking elements of the sequels, kind of like I proposed to you too, where they used to change the Star Tours for anybody that's gone to them and taken Star Tours. It was this ride where you kind of sat down in this like theater looking place, but you were meant to be like in a little shuttle. And what they projected on there was a 3D screen, and it kind of looked like you were flying through different planets in the Star Wars universe and things like that. So the ride was able to change. So I was kind of telling you, I was like, I wonder if for a limited time they could change the ride experience of Flight of Passage. Like, maybe now you're like flying over the ocean, or you know what I mean? Like actually include more sequel elements, because that could even just for a limited time change the ride and just get so much more attention to it already by simply just creating new footage for that one and changing the movements of the of the ride a little bit.
I would absolutely love it if they did that. It would be cool. I mean, when I've been, it's been a long, long wait to get on the ride, but it's worth it. But yeah, not knowing which version you're going to get, I think that would add some excitement to it, especially for those who actually get to go to the parks frequently and have been on it 10, 20, 30 times or more. It'd be nice to be able to incorporate Avatar 2 into it as well. So hopefully they
Exactly.
do something like that at least.
Yeah, I know supposedly they have room for one more ride, and I think one more like eating area. I don't know if this for a full size restaurant, but at least kind of like one of their mid sized ones, like a what they deem like one of their snack ones, like kind of like quick serve, maybe some not a full sit down one, but yeah, that'd be cool too. Like, if they incorporated some of the sequel things, and then you really would have a fully fleshed out, Pandora Land that also included the other areas that we're going to keep seeing in these sequels. So that'll be interesting to
And then
see
I could
for park goers.
then I could go there and get that fried elu I've been craving.
Oh my god. Oh man. So let's let's transition off to, we also got the official rating for the movie, Drew, which obviously it's not going to be rated R. I know somebody commented somewhere, I think on socials or somewhere, and was like, I thought it was going to be rated R. It's like, what are you talking about?
I was hoping for NC-17, but I mean, I'll take PG-13. I'll need a parent to take me.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I was hoping to where like the new generation of kids that we want to like get into this, like they can't go. Like that's what I'm hoping for. But we're close because if you read here, I know it's just PG-13. You're like move on, but you know you can kind of see like the reason. Like so here we have the reason for the Way of Water. It's for sequences of strong violence and intense action, partial nudity. So there's the rating
yeah,
that's music to Drew's ears right there.
that's exciting.
And some strong language. No smoking this time. Because it really does. If there is smoking, you do have to state it in there. So there is going to be no smoking.
Well, that's no fun.
But very similar to I have here at the bottom for the original movie, it was rated PG-13 for intense, epic battle sequences and warfare. Not partial nudity, but it was labeled as sensuality, language, and some smoking. So pretty much everything seems similar, just worded a little differently, minus the some smoking. So Grace in human form is not here anymore, so she ain't smoking. But yeah, I wanted to get your opinion on this because I was like, and now did I read into this too much? Because you have the other one saying intense, epic battle sequences and warfare, and here it just says in sequences of strong violence and intense action. I'm sure it means the same thing. It's probably just worded differently like years later. But I'm like, this doesn't mean that we're not getting some kind of epic battle. Because, I mean, obviously we see it in the, in the trailer. So I'm sure it means the same thing.
Yeah, I'm not really reading into it at all. I don't think they have any plans to drastically change the general content in Avatar. At least it's something that's never been brought up, so I think we'll be all right.
Yeah. The only one that is raising some eyebrows is like the whole partial nudity thing. I don't know what the heck that could be. And I don't know if
that could be anything. I mean, that could be a butt from an RDA member in a shower or something for a split second. It could be totally meaningless. I'm sure it's nothing too bad being PG-13.
Exactly. And if it doesn't have to be human, if it could be Na'vi, honestly, like they wear clothes that reveals, sometimes like they're. I mean, you saw Jake in the first movie. You guys butt showing and stuff. So I'm sure it's just something like that. So it's nothing too terrible. But for anybody that was curious, here's the rating, which obviously we knew it was going to be PG-13 and similar. So we can expect basically very similar. We're going to get action, language, some sensuality most likely. Jake and Neytiri got to have their date nights, man. What can I tell you?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's looking more and more like Loak and Tsireya will as well, but I doubt that's where the sensuality comes from at their age.
Yeah, they're forced to wait till that time jump. They're like, yeah, we gotta wait, okay, because that would have bumped up the rating. You gotta wait, okay.
And hey, if ticket sales are any indication by my theater, no one's going because I checked before I hopped on, and I've purchased the only tickets for my showing still. So,
the movie's really?
A failure.
You know what? I did check mine too, and a lot of the seats in my particular one are also available. But that honestly, that's a lot of people though, because to be honest, I don't think a lot of the general audience pre-purchase tickets. I think that's mostly with like this past decade with like those, like the superhero movies and things like that, where it's really like, they're really front loaded. But usually, I don't think the general audience has caught on to pre-purchasing tickets. I think the average Joe still thinks, when I decide on the day to go see a movie, I literally would just either go on my phone or I'll still, a lot of people like a caveman will probably just still walk up and be like, one please, or Avatar: The Way of Water, So I'm not too worried about it yet, obviously.
Yeah,
I think
and
we'll be
as
fine.
much as I love Avatar and I fully believe this movie's going to do well, this doesn't have the hype of like years of content like some of the Marvel movies did, or even Star Wars coming back. So, I mean, it basically just has one previous movie. So, there's not the same level of hype yet for the movie, I don't think, as some of those other higher grossing films we've seen in the last 10 years or so.
Exactly. I think it'll be one of those where it's going to come out and it's going to be that first weekend is going to be very important, and it's going to spread the word of mouth on it, like, I mean, hopefully, fingers crossed, they did it again. Like, it'll be one of those that catches fire all over again, lightning strikes twice. I really do feel it's going to be something like that, and so I'm not really worried, opening weekend, what does that tell you? What do you think it means? I between 150 and 175, and some analysts saying up to 200 million for opening weekend in the United States. That is like amazing, especially for that. Actually, I take that at that. Cool, I'll take that. That's validation. For the cool thing to say is that this franchise is dead for like the past 13 years. We've all heard it, you know, and honestly, to some analysts even saying now up to 200 million, even the 150 range, I'll take it. That's double the original movie, man, which was like 77. And we saw what that did. It's all about the legs.
Yeah,
Legs are the ones that are going to be important.
absolutely. Absolutely. And like you mentioned, I think we're setting up to experience the same thing again where, yeah, maybe weekend one isn't the biggest thing ever, but it's going to do well. It's going to do really well, I think. And then I think the next weekend is going to do really well too and not have a huge drop off like we've been seeing over and over because of that word of mouth. And hopefully that momentum just keeps growing and it just stays strong. China's going to help out a lot. I looked while we were chatting. I believe China was number two in total ticket sales last time for Avatar 1. So having them back
Wow.
is big.
And with more theaters than they even had in 2009. Like, they've really have built a lot more theaters, and yet,
By like
obviously,
three
yes,
or four hundred
some,
percent more, I believe.
yeah, yeah. So imagine what they can do now. Obviously, they're not going to be at 100%. We've mentioned, some cities are going to be under, COVID lockdown, but just securing that in general, for whenever any of those fans there can go, obviously safely, the option's going to be there. And I still think, regardless, with 300 or 400% more than last time, even with some cities unavailable, I think it's still going to be a huge, huge help. So I think we have nothing to worry about, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't either. I think it's setting up really nicely. And I mean, we're hardcore Avatar fans, and then seeing that footage of Avatar 2 on the big screen after the remaster, I mean, it blew us away. So I can only imagine what it's going to do to the average moviegoer who maybe hasn't been following along, doesn't know the things we know. I mean, it's going to be about that product that's on the screen ultimately. And if that product blows people away around Christmas time, then that word's just going to spread to their families during the holidays, and it's going to be a big deal again. It's going to be 2009,
Exactly.
2010 all over again, I do believe.
Yep. I believe so as well. And in just our last few here, one, we've been seeing these teasers and these trailers, and we keep mentioning, there's things that we know are in there, but we haven't seen them, even some characters. But one that a lot of us, have been like, hey, where's this character? We haven't seen her. Actually, they actually revealed a little while ago. One of them is going to be played by Una Chaplin, and she's going to be playing a character called it's either Varong or Varang. I haven't heard it stated, so I apologize if I butcher it. But a
I
lot of
think
people
it's
have been like,
wrong.
oh, Varong, okay. They've been like, where's this character? I wonder where she's at. A lot of people assumed most likely that she was going to be part of the Metkayina. But here from an article from actually, I believe, 2019, it was by IndieWire. They actually even had to correct their article. Because see right there, correction. Una Chaplin will appear in Avatar 3, 4, and 5. And then our little live thing cuts it off, but it says not Avatar 2. So they stay, down here towards the bottom. Basically, Chaplin's character first appears in Avatar 3 and is named Vrong, whom it's safe to assume, is a member of the Na'vi. And she, just goes on to say she's remained tight-lipped on it and just saying, it's good. It's going to blow people away. And we've heard her, mentioned as being a very important character for the saga overall. But, so just letting people know she's not going to be in 2, but, because of the little, filming at similar time, 2 and 3 back to back, some characters aren't going to pop up until 3. She's one of them. And another one, which I don't have here, is David Foles. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm not butchering his name. But it's, if people remember from Harry Potter, he played Professor Lupin, right?
Sure, I'll take your word on that one.
Okay. Basically, he played a good character in Harry Potter, but he's also played some villains recently. And he's also not going to appear until Avatar 3. And he has mentioned that he is set to play a Na'vi. So now I'm wondering, with Varong not stated until Avatar 3, it could be when we go to a new region, or just in general, just meet a new clan of Na'vi. Maybe not even yet a polar or desert or somewhere else. Maybe so. But I believe they're going to be from a different clan that's not the Metkayina. Because that's just going to be the first of probably many tribes that we're going to meet throughout the sequels. Especially with them saying we're going to go to visit different regions. Cliff Curtis himself has kind of mentioned that, they discover during 2 that there are Na'vi across all of Pandora in different regions that they've never even visited. So it's going to be a revelation even in the movie itself. And so I'm assuming she's going to appear as a Na'vi from a different clan. Now, whether, like I said, David Foles has played both good and, basically villain characters. So who knows? And this could be me, Drew, but am I the only one that kind of hopes that at some point we come across some kind of villainous Na'vi clan, like just to kind of like spice things up a little bit, or is that just me?
I'm sure it's not just you, especially with that clan that we have already seen in the comics. I can see them making an appearance, but it's not something I've really sat around and thought about. But I'm sure that would be interesting, add to the drama. Not only would the heroes be going against the RDA and the humans and everything thereafter, but would have to deal with bad Na'vi as well. I mean, that's good drama right there.
Exactly, and like you said, we have seen it in the Next Shadow comic that something like that is possible, because they did kind of basically allude to one of those. They didn't name it, or no, you said they did name it, right?
Yeah, I should have looked that up, but I haven't. I haven't looked at those for a minute. I don't remember what the name is off the top of my head, sadly.
Yeah, it's Sute's mother that name drops it, because she's telling the father of Sute, because they seem like they're like villainous characters. She's like, I know exactly who will take us in, and she name drops the clan, basically alluding to that not all Na'vi clans are 100%. good. So who knows? But yeah, anybody that was like, "Where's Varong?" We haven't seen her. Uh, she's not gonna be in 2. We won't see her till 3. I'm kind of theorizing she's going to be part of a completely new clan of Navi where we're yet to meet in 3. But yeah, just wanted to kind of throw that out to you guys. And what do you think, Drew? Is that kind of cool? Like, not throw all the eggs in, Avatar 2 in one basket, kind of spread it out a little bit?
It was a little bit of a bummer for me just because I had read so long ago that she was going to be in 2. Um, so I've been just kind of anxiously waiting to see like what character she's going to play, what she looks like, because I thought she was pretty awesome in Game of Thrones. But I mean, now that I get this, I mean, it's all good. I don't mind waiting another movie to see her character. But yeah, I actually had been looking forward to seeing who she was going to be playing exactly. But it's all good.
Exactly. And just to kind of wrap it up here, in terms of Avatar 2 itself, we did get a couple reactions. One of them was in response to the post that Jon Landau put up that the movie was officially done. And I'm taking it because I know Charlie Wood commented on the video that I did put out, questioning, like, do we know if they saw the whole movie? So the one in question is from Guillermo del Toro. He responded to Jon Landau's post by saying that Avatar: The Way of Water is a staggering achievement. Is chock full of majestic vistas and emotions at an epic scale. A master at the peak of his powers. And I mean, other articles are running with it, but I also took it as that he did see the full movie, just with keywords like that. It's chock full of majestic vistas and emotions at an epic scale. I don't think he would use that word if he didn't see more than just like maybe 20 minutes of it. How would you know it's really chock full of it if you only saw a small portion? And then to put out there like it's a master at the peak of his powers, to put that claim that it's James Cameron operating at that level, you have to have seen the full movie. Like, you can't already claim that just by seeing 15, 20, 30 minutes of the movie. So I'm going to do the benefit of the doubt that he did see the movie. They're very good friends. And in terms of directors, they kind of do this all the time. They show other directors, even if it's a rough, maybe the visual effects weren't 100% done because they just recently got done. I mean, who knows? Maybe he did just see it very recently, or it was maybe a few months back when he's still, working. Everything wasn't 100%. But they kind of do this. They show each other, rough versions of their movies. They screen them for each other. So wouldn't, doesn't surprise me. How did you take it? And what do you think about the actual statements in there, like that he says about Avatar 2?
Yeah, again, I have no like inside knowledge into what he saw or didn't see, but the way I took it is he just saw it and wanted to tweet about it. I don't think James Cameron needs him to promote any of his films for him or anything. I'm sure they're buddies, and he's just like, hey, why don't you check this out? I check out your films as well. And, I think if he didn't like it, he didn't have to say anything. He definitely didn't have to tweet about it. So I'm going to take what he tweeted at his word. I think that's exciting. It's staggering achievement, a master at the peak of his powers. Like, that's high praise coming from him. Sounds like he definitely liked the visuals, and it obviously invoked emotions in him on an epic scale. Like, I mean, that's exciting to hear someone who's highly acclaimed as him saying that about Avatar 2. So it didn't do anything but make me even more excited to see Avatar 2.
Yeah, exactly. And I know Charlie Wood in the chat saying that haven't enjoyed Guillermo's movies. I have. Like, he's one of my favorites because like Cameron has a very distinct voice in terms of film. You know what I mean? Like a very distinct, like, a Cameron movie, a Guillermo del Toro movie, and I love his work. So for me, I love that, one director I love is praising, my most anticipated movie, of at least the last decade, and it just gets me that much more pumped for it. Like you said, just these little quotes that he has here. It's not much, but just saying that it's him at the peak of his powers. That even the emotions, especially the emotion part, because obviously the vistas, the visuals, they're going to be amazing. And we've known that the cast and James Cameron have talked up the emotional aspect, but to see it actually, that from a third party perspective, obviously, that it did come through, that they're at an epic scale, it gets me that much more excited to really, I want the story to be that great, just because I know it's the one talking point people have of the original, but also just because for me, like, I'm excited to experience it, and those emotional aspects, who knows, I don't know if that clearly means death or anything, but I love that it's just going to give you the wide range of emotion. So that's what I want from a movie, and it looks like it's going to deliver. So I'm excited. I'm happy about it.
Yeah, when you talked about like the emotions and maybe that alludes to death, I think what he's saying there, what Del Toro is saying is Nethiam definitely dies in Avatar 2.
And just like that, Brianna Brown started to weep uncontrollably. So
But no, I'm
uh,
I'm with Charlie Wood. I actually don't watch his movies either. I don't have an opinion on whether I like him or don't like him. I just don't ever see any of his movies. So I know who he is,
yeah,
and anytime any of the major filmmakers care enough about something they see to actually tweet about it, I usually take them at their word.
exactly. And very last one from obviously somebody very connected to the project, Cliff Curtis, the actor that plays Tonowari himself. I love his as well. So his says, so I'm in Auckland now, but I was in Wellington with James Cameron just yesterday, and he was showing me some new footage. I was stunned beyond belief by how beautiful and once again and emotional it is, and the genius of the sensations it gives you. I can't even describe what I experienced. Just watching a few clips and sequences, I can't wait to see the whole movie. I genuinely think it's going to be one of the most amazing cinematic experiences I've ever had. I don't think the world's really ready for what's going to happen. It's beyond exciting. And man, that's like the most hype quote that I have read of one of the cast members, like, seeing some footage of it. What do you think about this one right here from somebody that's very, obviously very connected to the project?
Sorry, I missed who you said this was from, Jerry.
Oh, Cliff Curtis, actor that
Oh,
plays
okay,
Tonowari.
Tonowari. Yeah, no, that's exciting. Especially coming from Cliff, it seems like he's going to have a huge part in this movie. So it's not like he just has a little bit part and maybe wasn't really connected. Seems like he's going
Yeah,
to play a major role for sure. So for him to say like that glowing of a review, that's exciting. And this is actually the first time I've read that. So hype level 1,000. Loving
right,
all
man. Like
these,
that's
man. It's just nice to finally hear positive things about Avatar versus all the negativity you've seen for years now.
exactly. And just because, like, I feel like these are like what I want to have. Like, they kind of seem like words that I would write if I came out of it and it blew my mind. Like, he was kind of probably using things, like, it just seemed very relatable to like what I think I would have written if I just had seen it and it blew my mind. So I'm like, man, it's just really getting me so hyped. We're so close. We're like, what, 3 weeks? uh
Yeah.
2.5, 3 weeks. It's just, it's crazy, it's surreal, and it won't fully for me probably like hit me 100% until I'm sitting there in the theater, waiting for it to start, obviously through like 30 minutes of commercials or ads or trailers, sorry, because my theater chain AMC is like notorious for like 20 to 30 minutes. But soon as that starts, man, I can't wait. Like what to what I'm even gonna feel like as the movie officially begins. Like it'll take me all the way back to seeing the first one for the first time, like 13 years earlier. It's gonna be insane.
And then we're gonna go home and try to remember everything we just watched. And I mean, it's hard to remember everything that happens in 3+ hours. And then we're just gonna need to see it again so we can retain even more. Man, I can't wait. But
Just
hearing someone, like Cliff Curtis just say like he was stunned beyond belief. I mean, he could have been a pro and said, "Hey, it looks great. I think it's going to be super successful. James Cameron's awesome." Like, I mean, he could have totally hyped up the movie, but not really said much. But just
yeah,
hearing hearing how specific he was about it, how excited, like that's what's really exciting.
exactly. And because, like you said, like basically from the other cast, like you kind of get like, yeah, it's great, like you're not ready for it, but they're kind of like, almost kind of like cookie cutter responses, but you can tell like this is a meaty response and things in here, like you said, like I was stunned beyond belief. And then the one right here where it's like, I genuinely think it's going to be one of the most amazing cinematic experiences I've ever had. So I love that he's like, I can't even wait to see the full movie. Like, I think it's going to be one of the best cinematic experiences that I've even had, let alone the rest of the world. So this one like gets me so excited. I love that he's even so excited to see it. And they're going to see it soon, man. I think, what is it? London premiere is December 6th.
Yeah, just around the corner.
That really is. What is that like? So we'll actually. Oh, and I didn't make a graphic, but that's the other. That's the very last one. December 6th, everybody, and maybe we should do a stream, man. Maybe we should do like a, where we're kind of like chilling here as the reactions come out. Maybe we can time it right. As movie pundits and everything are coming out of the movie, like seeing what their first reactions are on like social media. But
yeah, that would be fun. We just have to make sure we find the ones that are just going to be kind of generic and not really go into too many details, because I'd hate to be that close to seeing Avatar 2 and have something major spoiled really at this point.
Exactly. But yeah, so the reaction embargo, so people can give a quick social media, whatever you can fit into a Twitter post, basically. Reaction, those go, the embargo lifts as soon as they come out of the premiere on December 6th. But the actual like full people writing movie review articles, that's December 13th. So that's what December 13th is when you're going to see all the reviews up on YouTube, from your average, your basically all the movie reviewers that you watch, the articles on all the different websites. So that's the 13th, but all the reactions will be up on the 6th, and we're so close to that. That's like a week away or something. A little over a week.
It'll be a week from this Tuesday, I believe.
Yeah. So, man, it's very tangible. It's very close. I'm super excited. Before that, though, we'll finish going through this Volume 3 of The High Ground. But yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed going through this first part of Volume 3 and going over these different little news topics that we kind of had in here to throw in and chat with you guys about. Yeah, I'm so excited, man. But yeah, we should probably look into setting something up for that day. We'll kind of like, check out the times and all that so we can time it right. But that would be a pretty cool, stream to have the reactions come up and we can kind of look at those with, live with some of the chat here.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I would totally be down to do that.
Yeah, but hopefully you guys. Oh, it's okay if you don't have Twitter. Like we'll screen share here. So I think if we do that stream, I will probably have Drew like share his screen most likely, or me, and then we'll just kind of go through what are some good reactions coming out of not good as in positive, but like that aren't gonna, aren't filled with spoilers. Like maybe we'll make sure, we'll kind of vet them first before we show everybody on the stream. But I think mainly those are all pretty good when they come out of those. They really do follow they have to sign the NDAs and all that, the non-disclosure agreement. So usually they're pretty good when all those big premieres happen. So that'll be exciting to finally get, some audience reactions to the movie, and crossing my fingers, hoping it's mostly positive, man.
Yeah, I hope it blows them away. And like you said, we'll share what some of the reputable sources are saying. There's always one or two people who are like, "Screw the NDA! I'm spoiling everything that I just saw."
Yeah.
So we'll avoid that for ourselves and for you
Exactly.
guys. We're not gonna share anything to ruin the movie for anybody. Only to either excite us, or if someone has something negative to say, I'm willing to hear that too. I mean, the movie's not going to be
Yeah.
for everyone, no matter how good it is.
Yeah. Art itself is subjective. You could really love something, and the person right next to you can think it's not up to snuff. So, but we just hope, that more people think it is great than not. That would help the word of mouth. It would help the box office. We obviously, at the end of the day, the only thing us fans can get out of it is great movies, and with the money that it could generate, secure that we do see the full story, the full saga, 4 and 5. That's all I want out of it. You know what I mean? I just want great movies, and I want to see the full story they want to tell. I hope, we don't only get half of it. That would be like today, where we kind of showed you the first part of the High Ground Vol.3, but they're like, but that's it. So
Yeah, that's the
so I
good
hope
part about each film being standalone, right?
exactly. Yeah, it's kind of like that safe, that fail safe is already like in place, just in case. Um, so it'll be interesting how this one even ends, because it won't end on a cliffhanger, and all the other ones as well. So they'll have their own beginning, middle, and end. But yeah, I want to see the full generational saga. Probably many different families, generations. The Sully family, of course. Maybe possibly the Quaritch family, if Spider really is the son of Colonel Miles Quaritch. So
I'm
we'll see,
down to
man.
take them out in Avatar 2 and be done with the Quaritch family once and for
but
all.
but yeah, man. Hopefully, nothing that's gonna make Brianna Brown cry, because she's already saying she's gonna need a lot of tissues for her tears. So hopefully, whoever she wants to survives. I know she'll want probably everybody, but some people will probably gotta go. Some will have to go, but we'll see. All right, man. Any final thoughts as we end this stream? And like we said, though, we are going to be back probably in a couple days to continue with the High Ground Vol.3. So obviously, be on the lookout for that. And there'll be we'll have more pages to show then as well. But any final thoughts, Drew, as we end this stream?
Mostly just want to say thanks, Jerry, for all the hard work you do to bring these streams to life. I appreciate everybody for being so active in the chat. It makes the stream just a lot more fun than just me and Jerry sitting here talking to each other and getting no feedback at all. That actually wouldn't be that much fun. So I always follow along and enjoy what you guys have to say, and we appreciate your guys' support. So, thank you for everybody for listening. And again, Jerry does a lot of hard work to bring this to life every week. So I appreciate him a lot. He's a good guy. And man, we're getting close, guys. My excitement just keeps building and building. I try not to think about it too much, but about to hit December, and then December 15th is going to be here before we know it. So I'm just really excited. It's fun to talk Avatar, and appreciate you guys listening.
Exactly, and I appreciate you too, man. Like, basically trusting me to, when I asked you to co-host, you didn't blink. like Jake says, you just did it. So, so I've had a blast, and especially with all of you guys that always show up here, especially the usuals that we always see. Thank you so much for no matter what day, what time, you guys are always here, man. It's so encouraging to see that, and we'll keep working hard to provide entertainment for you guys and have a place where you guys can freely chat in the amongst yourselves or with us, and we'll talk back. So it's just been a ton of fun in the lead up, and we're so close. Like Drew said, it's crazy to think, all those years. Pretty soon, all those years are going to be in the past. It's harder for it to sink in, but now it's just weeks. No more years. No more months. Pretty soon, it's just going to be mere days, and we're gonna, pretty soon be in a world where we have most likely all of us here will have seen Avatar 2, this mythical thing, this almost like a mythical unicorn. But and then we'll start. You know what? We'll still always have tons of content here. We're gonna have so much material. We have new books. Obviously, the movie itself will have tons for us to discuss for months to come. And then we get hyped for a video game that hopefully at some point next year comes, and then on to the next movie, man. So it's just going to be this never-ending excitement right now with the Avatar franchise, and then I love it. I love it for that. So thank you all.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy seeing Avatar 2 and then kind of at some point turning our attention to Avatar 3 and what we might see there. Like, that's just kind of mind-blowing because we've been waiting for so long for Avatar 2 to get here. But yeah, I saw in the chat, any idea what other days the streams are going to be so I can plan ahead? We haven't hashed anything out officially yet, but I'd say off the top of my head, it might be Wednesday and Friday. What do you think about that, Jerry?
Yeah, I think those are good. So yeah, we could probably almost pencil it in. It should be Wednesday and Friday. I think that'll be pretty good. It matches previous ones we've done before. So yeah, we'll see you guys back on Wednesday, and then stick with us, and at the end of this week on Friday, we'll finish it off. And that gets us literally to right around the reaction time. So hopefully within these next two streams, we have something to announce of maybe like that, some kind of stream where, we're just sitting, no real plan. We just kind of hang out, and maybe we're waiting for like the reactions to hit the social media. So that'll be pretty fun if we get to that point. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we always have something to chat about. I mean, you guys are super active. You always have great questions, great dialogue going on amongst yourselves. So we've always got Avatar we can talk.
Exactly. And we'll have that to talk for months and years to come. So, all right. So thank you all for tonight. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed that little taste of Volume 3 and a much bigger sample coming on Wednesday. So we'll see you guys back on Wednesday night for us. Could be morning for you. But either way, from us here, Drew and I at Exploring Avatar, have a great night, great morning, and we'll see you Wednesday.
Later, guys.